Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included. And you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Your host of California MUFON Radio, Lorien Fenton.
Welcome, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. I am so glad you guys are with me here tonight. Boy, it's been a wild couple of weeks here at IRN. And I just found out tonight the reason that many of you have been emailing me privately through my website and saying, hey, Lorien, you're not live anymore. Did you quit? Like, no, I didn't quit, you guys. It's just that they were having some troubles with the server, the software, and all kinds of fun things here at IRN. And we have it all straightened out. Actually, MJ and Joe got it all straightened out. They did their darndest. I'm not supposed to swear in the air. They did their darndest to get it all fixed. So there we go. So it's all done, and we should be fine for now. And who knows? You know, Skype is just an issue altogether. And I feel so sorry for the software programmers who program all this radio broadcasting equipment, because how are they supposed to keep up with the old Microsoft? You know, it's like, oh, what a pain. It's all sad that it all has to come down to everybody having to, you know, argue with each other over software. Anyhow, so speaking of arguments, my guest tonight's Jason Quitt. And before I get to Jason, we were just talking about what I'm fed up with this week. And you guys, you know, I thought the whole Corey Good thing was behind me, and it pretty much is. I only get a few retractors here and there every once in a while that say I'm an evil, horrible person for putting him down and all this. And then I say to them, just because Bill Ryan put me on the hit list doesn't mean that I am a total retractor of Corey Good. I'm going to be very clear one more time, and hopefully this is the last time I have to say this. I think he's an experiencer. I think he is a mind control victim. I think there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. And I think he is just like every other experiencer that comes to me and every other person that's in the secret space program. And I believe he's being taken, and I believe he sees blue avians, or whatever. I call them the blue super chickens of space. Blue space chickens. But whatever he's seeing, that's great, and he's communicating with them. Hey, I communicate with angels, you know, so I have no problem with him communicating with the triangle head gold beans and all that. And my friend Janet, she communicates with all kinds of crazy people in another dimension, and she has spacecraft parked outside of their place in Hawaii off the bluff, and it just sits out there for hours on end, and only her and Sasha can see it. You know, nobody else can see it, but they can. Actually, a couple other people that have lived there have seen him too. But what I'm trying to say is he's no different than anybody else. And his story is not that fantastic compared to some of the stuff I've heard from people that will not come out and pretend that they are the guru and they're going to save the UFO community. Okay, so wait till Corey Good gets a hold of the stories that I've got from a couple of secret, and these are truly secret space program people that I'm telling you, folks, if I can ever get them to talk, it'll make Corey look like he was a janitor in a high school. I mean, seriously, that's how complex their events are. And I'm going to tell you guys just one thing, and I wasn't ever going to talk about this, but one of these people at Contact in the Desert came up to a friend of mine right after we'd had a little powwow, and I was running out the door. And she went up to my friend and she said, "Oh, and by the way," because it was so crazy. She said, "Oh, and by the way, the ships follow me around all over the place too." And he looked up, and there is a freaking ship right above Contact in the Desert. Now, this is so crazy, folks. And he and probably her and maybe a couple other people could see it. That's how, and this thing was fairly low and fairly large, and they were looking right at it. And she started talking to him about the secret space program, what she does in it, blah, blah, blah. And if she's got a ship that just hangs over her and follows her around, I'm just thinking, Corey Goods never said that. And Corey never said the ship was over Contact in the Desert for him, and neither did Greer, or Wilcock or any of these guys. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, this is so crazy. And another thing that happened at Contact in the Desert that I can't tell you who, what, when, and how, but a bunch of friends of mine who were all contactees rented a house out there in Joshua Tree, and there was an orange orb ship about 12 feet in diameter by, just 12 feet circumference, diameter, hovering over the backyard, the entire Contact in the Desert. And they would all go over there at night and sit there and look at the ship and commune with the aliens. I mean, they were all having telepathic communication. So I'm sitting here going, okay, so Corey Good, it's like, really, come on. I mean, he's just like I said, he's the janitor in the schoolroom, and everybody else is got far superior stories, much more to talk about, amazing stuff going on in their life, and they won't come out and say, I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to make comic books, and I'm going to make bobblehead dolls, and I'm going to do all this stuff, because they're smart enough to realize that when you're chosen to do this work, you got to do it in a way that you're not ridiculed and taken out. I mean, see, what was he thinking coming out and doing all this and expecting everybody to embrace him? I never came out like that. My story is crazy, bizarre. Everybody just looks at me with their mouth dropping open and they don't even know what to say. It's literally that crazy bizarre. And what do you do with something like that? I never got up and said, "Oh, I was chosen and I'm going to be the one to bring all of us together and all this stuff." I mean, I was absolutely dumbfounded at the MUFON Symposium when he got up on the stage and said he was going to bring all of us together and that he was going to create conferences that actually accomplish something. I'm sitting there thinking, really? You're standing at the MUFON Symposium, speaking at the MUFON Symposium, been around for 40 some odd years now. Whether I like what they do or not, it's another whole issue, but they have been there 40 some years, folks, and they're going on 50. And I think they have changed the world in a lot of ways, in spite of themselves, okay? And he's standing up there, and he has the audacity to tell them, pretty much backhandedly, my conference is going to be much better than yours because I'm the guru that's going to save the UFO community. I'm like, oh my God, this isn't really happening. Anyhow, you guys know my whole story about the MUFON Symposium, where I wasn't allowed to be at his presentation. I had to watch it on the live stream because people were afraid I'd run up on the stage and start taking him on about what he was talking about, which I might have done, who knows? But I wasn't the only one who was furious at the end of his presentation. Let's just leave it at that, okay? There were a lot of people, a lot of old timers that were really offended. Totally offended by this guy. Okay, enough of Corey Good. Okay, I really got to let this one go because it just angers me every time I think about it. So my point with Corey is this. He is an experiencer. He is whatever. I think he's getting misguided information. I believe that he's got handlers. And, trust me, when you're in the mind control community, there's always somebody trying to handle you and make your money for you or not make your money for you. They either try to destroy you or they try to bolster you up until they realize they can't because you're not bright enough to get what's going on, and then they dump you, and then you're in worse shape than you were in the beginning. And why he hasn't seen that, I'm sorry. Everybody that's in this game knows that story. We've all seen it happen, or what happened to Stan Romanek happens to you, or Wendell Stevens, or any of the other guys that they've accused of being a pedophile or a rapist or whatever. That's the next thing that happens. So, folks, I don't dislike the guy. I mean, I honestly, it's at one point I said to myself, if he would just show up for an interview, I would treat him with kid gloves, but I would try to get him, like I did with Andy Basiago, is that I would try to get him to understand that there's much more to this than he's dealing with on the surface, and that maybe he's being programmed in ways he doesn't understand. And here's the kicker on all this. Maybe Corey is smart like a fox, and maybe he is understanding how he's being controlled. I don't know, but I'd like to find out on radio. I'd love to interview him. I have an open invitation to him. I would never disrespect his contact. I would never disrespect anything he is doing, except for the fact that I do not like what he says on stage sometimes at his presentations. And I would take him to task on that too. I would confront him about it. I would be mean about it, but I would confront him about it and ask him where he got all of his information and who the people were that he got these stories from. And I want him to cite them for me, because I know exactly where he got all that information. I can almost cite them verse for word or whatever they say. So there you go. So leave Corey out of this one. My rant tonight isn't supposed to be about him, but today I guess I kind of got off on it again. But yeah. So like I said, guys, don't bash me about Corey anymore. I'm not gonna respond. I'm not gonna even email you back. I'm not gonna say a word about it, because honestly, if you just come and talk to me, I'd even invite him to speak at my conference if he would talk about his experience in a way that he was helping other people understand their experiences. That would be really wonderful. Instead of talking to us like we're children that we don't understand what's going on. That really bothers me. Okay, enough of him. Okay, now this week, I've been sitting here. This whole Tom DeLonge thing has got my knickers in a bunch, as they say, or panties in a twist, or whatever you want to call it. I'm really having a hard time with it. That's another thing I thought when the whole Corey Good thing was dying down that I would be free to breathe easy on radio for a while. But no, Tom DeLonge had to show up and put another, hornet in my car. I mean, Jesus, I don't understand this. Maybe I'm the only crazy person out there, but in the UFO community who looks at everything from I look at it from a good perspective, a bad perspective, and right down the middle. And you guys, what you don't understand is consciousness and mind control and everything they can do to you is the total end game here. And when these guys, I'm just going to make one point real clear to everybody. Hal Puthoff, Colm Kelleher, and all those guys that are scientists that are on this team have non-disclosure contracts with the Department of Defense, it's a DIA, I can't remember, all the alphabet agencies. They cannot talk about anything they absolutely know. Colm Kelleher has a non-disclosure agreement with Bob Bigelow. He can't talk about anything he knows, especially if it was the information was gleaned from the NIDS ranch, okay? So we're sitting here with a whole team of people who can't open their mouth about what they know in the past or from their experiences with these agencies, governments, and private contractors. Okay, so how are they going to be doing what they do to further disclosure and do all this if they have to keep their mouth shut and they can't talk about it? Now, possibly, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, possibly they are going about it by using the knowledge they have to start projects, and they're kind of prodding them in a direction that is beyond what they already know. In other words, like, let's say they're going to do research into Bigfoot, and they'll say, oh, we don't need to do that because we could just go right to step 4. because they already know that step 1 through 3 are bogus or already proven or already done, or the government already knows about it, or whatever. And maybe that's their plan. And then I'm giving them credit to be doing that because they are much brighter than I, and I'm assuming that's what they're doing. But and that's the scientific end of it all. If they're doing research, that's wonderful. I have no problem with that. And I really wish they would do another complete research involving Free, who's already been doing the data gathering about experiencers. I really wish they'd work with them, but it sounds to me like Ray Hernandez turned down Tom's I don't know if he begged, borrowed, stealed, or whatever he was trying to do to get it, but he was trying to get the data from Ray, and Ray refused to sell it to him. So I think that's kind of interesting. I think it says a lot about the integrity of Ray, I must admit. And the other part that bothers me about the whole Tom DeLonge thing is that they're really focused on entertainment. That he's really focused on entertainment. He is not an experiencer. He's been brought into certain situations with high-level people in the UFO game, as I call it, and he's been read in. And since he's not an experiencer, what is their end game using him, except for that they know they can leak information, or they can leak wrong information to all of us out here, sitting here with bated breath, and we put $200 into his company or whatever, and we're waiting for the answers. Here's the bottom line, folks. Nobody's going to tell me how to think about the UFOs, the aliens, or the agenda all around it. Nobody's going to guide me. Nobody's going to give me a narrative on how to handle this. Not at all. And let's see what MJ has to say. I see a little bubble popping up. Anyhow, yes, one break at the top of the hour. Thank you, MJ. So, folks, this is the biggest bubble about this whole thing that bothers me, and it's what's keeping me awake at night. It's like, where did this Tom DeLonge guy come from? Who does he think he is? Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. He's listened to a lot of people. He's listened to every Art Bell show, apparently. He's done his online research. That's great. I know about 900 people have done the same thing. They don't have money, though. Or if they do, they aren't talking about it. Okay? And he's not an experiencer that I know of. Maybe he'll come out and he'll say, oh, and by the way, they take me every night. If he did, then I'd have a lot more respect for him. Okay? Maybe I'm supposed to be reading between the lines that he's an experiencer and I just am not getting it. I don't know. But, he's being read into all this stuff. Why? Because they can handle him easier than anybody else because he's so gullible? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it all out. So, yeah, anyhow, like I said, no one's going to tell me how to think about or what, and that a movie's coming out that's going to explain everything, and that a comic book's going to come out, or a book's going to come out, or that a TV series is going to come out, or whatever. I am always going to be thinking for myself. I'm always going to look at it from every angle I can look at it from, and the most important angle to look at it from is God involved, and is love the answer? Because that's what they told me a long time ago. That, if money's the answer, or if money is the motivation for everything they're doing, then I don't know. I don't know if I want to be involved with that kind of group. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know, folks. That's my little diatribe for tonight. I'm just very concerned that these guys are going to be getting to everybody under 35 that has a cell phone, and they're going to be telling them what's going on in the UFO community. And just like in, Excalibur, the movie, where Merlin says to King Arthur after they've defeated the Romans or something like that, don't forget this because, we're doomed to repeat it if you keep forgetting stuff. And the young people coming into the community now don't remember anything. They don't believe anything. If it doesn't suit their purpose, that if they've been brainwashed into thinking that, little gray aliens don't make babies, or whatever, they're not going to believe it. And the trick is, folks, you can't disbelieve or totally believe everything. You have to get as many people telling you what their experiences were so you can melt them all together and see what they're actually doing. That's the bottom line here. And that's where I think Yvonne Smith, Barbara Lamb, and, Bob oh shoot, I can't think of his name. Anyhow, I'm looking at John Mack's face, and just, all the great people that went in the past and all the research they've done. Leo Sprinkle, I mean, the list goes on and on. All those people who got all those people together and got them to talk about their experiences and bring them to the forefront so we'd understand what it is that the certain species are doing to us. And the kids nowadays, they don't even care about that. They just want to say, oh yeah, aliens are real, they're here, they're doing this, and or I love God and I love the aliens and we're all going to commune together. Or so, I don't even get what they're doing. It's so bizarre to me. Okay. Well, okay, I'm leaving it at that. I know it's kind of a crazy place to leave it. And I'm going to read what Neutron just said in the chat room, if he doesn't mind. He said, a woman recently said, in order to hide the truth, you create 5 layers of lies in relationship to it, and each layer a lie of the other. I suspect a similar is being practiced by the establishment in this phenomena. Well said, Neutron. And this woman, whoever she was, very bright woman, which would have been me. But yeah, I mean, that's the truth there. It's layers of lies upon lies. If you guys watch Mirage Men, it'll open your eyes up. Please, if you're under 40, please watch the movie Mirage Men and just see how they've hoodwinked us, at least at that point in time. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Well, Jason, are you still there with me, or did you hang up because I was going on too long?
I didn't know I was coming on for such a loaded conversation. Oh, my.
I know. Well, let's just dig right into it. Oh, by the way, everybody, this is Jason Quitt. You can find out much more about him at the Crystal Sun. Yes,
thecrystalsun.com.
thecrystalsun.com. Amazing stuff there. Now, he wrote an amazing blog article. Was it yesterday, Jason?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
About the secret space program. And, why don't we do this? Why don't we start with you talking about what you wrote about? And then we can kind of back circle into what I talked about earlier. How's that sound?
Sounds fine.
Okay.
But you got my blood pumping from what you just said. I don't know if we want to get off those topics.
Well, go ahead. If you want to start with it, sure. What's your take on the whole Tom? Do you want to start with Tom or Corey or all of it? Or it's just a big 3-ring circus? What do you think?
Like you said, there's many layers. And, I can't discount any of them, especially Corey. He's put out a lot of very interesting information.
Yes, I got to say. I've never argued with that.
And he has brought a lot of new people to the table that otherwise wouldn't be here. So it's pretty amazing that he's captured that audience. So,
the problem I have with that is what is he getting them to believe in? I mean, he says he's here to enlighten everybody, but I've watched 3 or 4 of his presentations now, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is he's trying to give to us,
And just and this is what I've been seeing, especially with Tom, is that they're casting nets.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're capturing people's attention and holding them. Now, if you actually read the statements on, To the Stars Academy, Tom DeLonge's site.
Yes, which I have read.
He breaks it down into science, aerospace, and entertainment. Now, if you read the first thing, which is the science, it's pretty horrifying. If you ask me, the first thing he states is they want to do a human ultra experience database, develop a worldwide digital database cataloging different types of supernormal experiences with the goal of creating proprietary algorithms to find detailed patterns and correlate them with other academic research. And
that scares the bejesus out of me. So go ahead.
That's why I'm saying it. Isn't that the plot to X-Men?
Very close. Yeah.
Catalog the
very
mutants.
close.
And then the next mutants. Right. And then the next thing they say is they want to build some type of brain-computer interface technology.
Great.
Okay, so the first 2 things that he promotes on this site has nothing to do with disclosure. It has nothing to do with aerial phenomenon. It has to do with true experiencers, and they want to catalog and database those experiences. Now, who is cataloging these experiences? The people that were on Tom's panel, like you said, the alphabet agencies of the DOD, DID, all the
DIA,
aerospace
NSA, CIA, the list goes on and on. Department of Energy, don't forget, they run a lot of the underground bases. Okay, anyhow,
most of these people just left their jobs 2 weeks ago.
Doesn't that freak you out? When I saw that, I was totally like, oh my God, what are we doing?
Which means this was all developed before they got out. Yeah. And I don't even think they did get out. I think that's just what they're telling people.
Well, see, the thing I know about these guys that retire, there's never retirement. What they do is they just move them into position in a private corporation where they need them and they use them there. And that's exactly what Tom's company is. It may not be an aerospace company. It may not be a Boeing, company, or Scandia Labs, or Northrop Grumman. It may not be one of those, but it's definitely it's a player now. This is how they're getting to the experiencers. So I mean, this is just really crazy. Anyhow, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. No.
So out of this whole thing, this is what shocked me the most. Because they're coming forward, we're going to disclose, we're going to release UFO information, UFO technology, but their mission statement says they're actually getting a database of experiencers.
Yep.
And then...
And I got to say one more thing about that.
Yes.
Ray Hernandez, bless his heart for not selling the data to these guys. Bless his heart.
Yes. And then when they get onto the propulsion system that they want to bring out to the public. And by the way, they didn't say when they're going to bring this out to the public. They said advanced electrogravitic propulsion. And I remember people like Stanton Friedman talking about this stuff, but he was relating it to the 60s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did a big experiment with it out in the desert at Area 51, or whatever it was called back in the day, and it actually exploded. and all the guys on the team got radiation poisoning, and he bowed out of it out of his service as a whatever he was. Well, he was a physicist at the time on that project, and they never went back and did it again. So what does that tell us?
And I remember talking to Stanton and him kind of raising his eyebrow at me and saying, "Research this." And he said that to me.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
So I get the feeling that this has been used for a very long time in, let's say, Black Ops projects.
Oh, so you're okay, because see, when Stanton got out, they were working on supposedly this project, and a radiation leak happened, and an explosion happened, and a bunch of scientists got radiated, and that was the end of the program. But see, now I'm beginning to think that was a cover story.
Right.
Okay, got it. All right.
Right. So what I'm inferring, if that's the right word, is that this technology has probably been in use since the late 60s and early 70s. Wow. So it's been out there for such a long time, and now they're saying, with your help, I don't know how many millions they want to raise before they even make something like this. But let's say they do raise $500 million, which by the looks of it, it's kind of impossible. Unless they release, they pull up at a conference an alien to talk to us. It says,
right, exactly.
I'm part of the company and I'm going to do this for you. Suddenly they'll have five.
Wonderful?
Suddenly they'll have.
What? Maybe it'll be Corey Good's Blue Avian dudes will show up. That would be cool.
They'll raise $500 million overnight for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
And then, okay, so let's say they raise the money. And then they get into the research and development phase. That could take a couple years. Then they can get into a prototype, which they can show us on TV or YouTube videos and say, look, we're floating this electromagnetic propulsion system in the laboratory. It may be 10, 20 years before you see a ship like they're trying to show us.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 20 years in the future showing us a ship. Now that we see the ship, this ship probably cost $1 billion, or they say it cost $1 billion to make this ship.
Right.
Who's going to fly it? Who's going to build these ships if they cost so much money? And then when is the public going to have access to that technology? We may be talking 50 years out before any of that technology reaches us. So what's the game plan here?
Yeah, I know. Did you read the prospectus that they put up online, the PDF?
Not entirely, no. But
I read the first 3 pages, and by the time I got to the point where it said, you basically are going to lose all your money if you invest with us.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have anything to prove. We don't have anything to make money with, really. Maybe we'll make money, maybe we won't. I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not working with these guys, What was your take on that?
It's the same. It's like, okay, let's raise $500 million. Let's put it towards research and development into a project that's already been developed for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? So just slap us in the face again. Slap the UFO community in the face again. Take the money, build the prototypes that already exist, and then you are the heroes of the day. You're the heroes of the situation. You have brought... And the interesting thing is, they never, ever, in anything you read on this website, it never says anything about aliens or outer space or other technology. The only thing that comes close to that statement is it mimics the capabilities observed in unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Exactly.
That's the most they ever say to the UFO subject. Yeah. So it mimics the capability. So, we could make a movie of a light in the sky, like zooming around, and we could say we're going to build something that mimics that animation on screen.
Right.
So it's like, again, it's like promising something and giving us something completely different and holding strong, because I remember a couple days after this release, they were talking about they're going to release UFO footage from military sources to the public.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included, and you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver, and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service price is subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that. That's very interesting.
So the first step that they want to do, or what I've heard, is that they're going to release videos taken by military with super high definition cameras so that you can see these ships in action.
Well, okay. Now that's very intriguing. How do we know those aren't our own ships?
Exactly.
That's just my first thought. And then after that, even if they aren't our own ships, does that prove anything? I mean, if we, how are they going to prove it's not us? And if they do prove it's not us, then isn't that disclosure? And shouldn't the president be talking about it?
But that's the thing, is that let's say that most of the aircraft that we see that are unidentified, let's just pretend that those are our ships. Those are things in black programs or whatever you want to call it. They're flying their ships. If they come forward and say, this is what an alien craft looks like, and it gets all the news coverage of, oh my God, this is alien craft, then they can pretend that those ships are not military.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're basically, it's a camouflage. It's a smokescreen to keep us off the fact that we have a secret space program.
Right. So now
like
we go.
The blue beam technology that everybody's been talking about all these years, about how we're going to be invaded by these holographic ships all over the world, and it's basically what they call blue beam technology, holographic technology, to scare us into thinking that the aliens have invaded when they're actually being projected by our deep, dark, black ops government.
Right, but in this way, Tom has the attention of politicians, of newscasters, and they will print his story in mainstream newspapers, and it may even be on CNN.
Oh God!
So if he comes forward, standing there with his lineup, and says, "This is what an alien craft looks like, and we have high definition photography of it and video," and this is played out to the mainstream world, it would be a disclosure that there are craft in the sky flying. And people will look up, and if they see it, then they could say that's an alien ship. But like you said, it's a smokescreen. So my impression is they don't want to hide anymore. They just want to be flying out in the open doing what they have to do, and not, have a million people call, "Hey, I just saw a UFO in the sky."
Yeah,
Is that one of ours?
Triangle was hanging over the city, right? Like Phoenix Lights. Oh my God. Well, you've got a really amazing point there. It kind of scares the bejesus out of me, because what it's doing is, again, just like I said, it's controlling the narrative down to a one bullet point issue. Mm-hmm. In other words, we're going to, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to make it so that everybody on the planet knows. What happened to the disclosure hearings back in 2010? I can't even remember, where Greer put 70 witnesses or 50 witnesses on the stand, and ex-military people like Clifford Stone, that was a crash retrieval dude, and they all talked about everything from aliens to ships to our secret space program. What happens to all that documentation? How come no one's believing that over one film of a military ship that they say, "Oh, by the way, this is an alien"? See, that's how much control they have over us now. Nobody's even willing to go, "Oh yeah, there were 50 people that went to, and spoke in Washington D.C. and nobody's paying attention." This is so crazy to me.
Okay, so if you're an intelligence officer, and let's say information is leaked, so let's say a document gets out, or a whistleblower gets out, and they say there's UFOs, the government's known about it for all these years.
Exactly. What
happens to the intelligence? It's been leaked to the public. So there's only two options you have. The two options you have is deny it, say, this person's crazy, they've never worked here, what a liar, Yeah,
like they did to so many of our past predecessors, yep.
Or they tried to retake control of the information.
Yeah.
There's only two ways of doing this.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think this whole Tom DeLonge thing is a giant retake of the whole last 15 years, where we've made some serious progress within the community. And they don't even care about anybody over 50 anymore, or 45. Anybody that's not glued to a cell phone, they don't care about, because they know we can all think our way out of a paper bag. And we all know that the cell phone and, YouTube and Facebook and all that is a mind control device. We're all smart enough because we did not grow up on it, so we are not indoctrinated to it. So they just really don't care about us anymore. It's very interesting.
But this is why the concept that Corey Goode put forward about the comic book was so genius, because it's capturing that new generation. And, even if I'm 35 right now, and I would still consider myself pretty young. Even if I would create projects now, I would really want to focus those efforts on the people coming up into the community.
Right, exactly.
Because, and a lot of my friends, it's the people that have been here the longest.
Yeah.
They have done so much research. And when I have newcomers talk talk to me about this, I always say, you got to read this book and read that book and check out this old timer.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
because you have to know. You can't just come into this community and just like latch on to like one or two people that are brand new in the community and think that's the best reliable sources of information.
Absolutely.
If you have a very strong grounding to all those other sources, it makes you pretty open to new information, but you'll always have a critical eye. You won't jump on all these other things.
Yes, you won't become what I call a UFO groupie. You know, where it's like Stephen Greer is the thing, or David Wilcock is the thing, or Corey's the thing, or whatever. And you know, I just want to touch upon Corey's comic books and stuff. I do make light of them, but in a very good way. If the material in these comic books is good. Now, I haven't seen one yet. Have you seen? Has he produced them yet? Are they out there?
No, I haven't heard or seen anything.
Okay. Well,
but it is very intriguing.
It is intriguing, and I got to say, I would like it if it was a really cool comic book that told some really great truths in it, and it wasn't just all about him. See, that's what I kind of assume that's what's going to happen. I'm going to hold judgment on that. I'm going to say that right now here on the show, you guys. So if anybody ever gets one of those, or when they come out, let me know, and I'll take a look at them, and we'll dissect them here on the show. Because if he's doing a really good job of helping people get through this whole, disclosure thing, which I think Corey really wants to have happen, he'll do a really good comic book. So, I'm leaving that open. But the bobblehead doll thing, and it's not bobbleheads. I know he's doing action figures or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, something like action figures, which I find kind of strange. But, maybe in a weird way, it's really good, Jason, because, maybe kids will look at a reptilian and not freak out, but in a weird way, maybe they should be freaking out. I don't know.
Well,
I'm so torn between all this, I tell you.
Trust me, even if they have an action figure, if one walks into their room, they will be freaked out.
I know.
No doll is going to help.
No doll's going to help. Okay, good. So I'm not crazy in that regard, because I'm just kind of like, I don't think it's going to work. Anyhow, so you were saying that Corey's bringing out the comic books, which help the younger generation, in a way. Maybe. We don't know yet, but we're hoping. Okay.
Yeah. And, I would also love to work on projects similar, just because, I feel that it's my duty. Like, I really can't tell people like you more than what you already know. You've been in this for so long.
That's the problem. Yeah, and that's what makes people like myself and Melinda. Melinda knows. I'm speaking of Melinda Leslie, folks, one of my best friends. That woman has done more research, and she knows more about the whole alien contact thing from the dark side than anybody out there besides maybe Misha Johnston and Niara Isley and a few of the other women experiencers that have come forward over the years. There's a few contactees I know as well that have had some really harrowing experiences and understand a lot of what's going on. But I'm telling you, folks, they have been doing their research. And when I say research, that means every week, all day long, for most of their lives, they have been asking, talking, finding people that are also experiencers, and people like John Mack. They don't just stop at like, oh, I want to talk to my friends about it. They go to the people that are prominent in the community and have dealt with them as well. So, that's a real researcher to me, Jason, is somebody who says, well, I'm just not going to sit here and think this is the way it is. I'm going to go talk to these people and ask them how they see it from their perspective.
Absolutely.
And just get all of their opinions, because it's super important. Like even I'm looking at David Jacobs. David Jacobs and I have had 3 really heart-to-heart conversations. He's been on my radio show. He absolutely is got a completely different view about it than I do. I don't think that they're all bad, and I don't think they're all going to come down and suck us up in a blender. But you never know. Maybe some of them are that bad. But you can't sit here and judge all aliens by the Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man, Which is what I told David he was doing. I said, man, you're the Serve Man poster child, So, but
you can really get caught up in this.
Yeah, the problem with that, Jason, is there's so many avenues you could go down, and then you can get stuck down there thinking it's the right one,
Well,
and there is no right one.
I hope that there's new people listening to your show tonight, because what I want to say is that when I started my awakening, and this was, when was this? Around like 2002.
Yeah.
This was before Facebook. I believe it's before Facebook or YouTube or something.
Right about the time they all started was little after 9/11, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so this was just like right in the beginning. This was right in the beginning of all the social media. When the first thing I did when I awakened is all I researched was the most awful things you could imagine.
Oh God. See, that's not good though.
Well, it's like the fear. It's like you have this fear inside you that like the world is not what I thought it was.
Oh yeah.
There's something not right. And then you keep going down the rabbit hole and you get to a place where it's like you want to throw up when you wake up.
Exactly. That is the day I tell everybody this, and everybody else who's awakened knows this line. I say the day I discovered there was good and evil was the day that my mission started, because once you realize there is good and evil, then everything else becomes superfluous, because you're in a battle to help the good conquer the evil. I mean, it's just that simple, really, in the long run. I mean, whether there's good aliens or bad aliens or whatever, humans need all the help they can get.
Oh yeah, but
we're so messed up.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to get stuck in those places. Very, very easy. And I've seen friends of mine, I've seen people that for years they've just focused on this one thing, and it's eating them every single day.
Yep.
And we need to step out of those things, because when it comes to energy and multi-dimensional energy, which I'm going to get into soon.
In the second hour, we're going to go into your consciousness, because I love it there.
Good. When you focus and put your energy onto these negative and dark things, they step right into the room with you.
That's right. That is absolutely
They
true.
become a part of you. So the things that you hate the most and you're pulling your attention to the most, you're giving your energy to it, they're going to be right there with you.
Yep. That's so true.
And when you develop the sense to see or to feel or to know, it's so obvious that, like I was telling you the first time I went to an alien expo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You have people on stage, fear-mongering about different entities or beings. And I'm looking at them and they're standing on stage with them.
Oh, absolutely. Was it you that told me about at Contact in the Desert how they're watching a panel and they never seen so many aliens on a stage in their entire life? I don't think it was you, but one of my contactee friends walked up to me and said, there were more reptilians on that stage than there were humans. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Oh,
because the mind is a beacon. The mind is a beacon. And the worst is if you have the fear of it.
Yep.
So you're getting up there and you're putting the fear of these things into the people. Of course they're going to come, because they want their presence to be felt by more people.
Yep. That's
and they
so
will.
True.
So we have to learn how to kind of shift out of that and find our own true self. And then that's where we find this kind of consciousness compass.
Well, absolutely. And also you find out that you're on equal footing with them in another dimensional time space. And you can talk to them anytime you want, and you can tell them to leave if they're giving you a problem, and you can invite them in if you need their help, and you can have a relationship with them.
Yes.
See, that is the whole key to my book, and it's called Extraordinary Contact. And all I'm trying to say in this whole book, when it gets down to it, and I'll tell everybody it's a spoiler right now, but I'm interviewing people who have had contact their entire lives. And the reason I'm only interviewing those people and the people that have gone out into the public and said, I've had contact and they've been ridiculed and I'm just following their whole 40-year history of contact, is because most of those people at some point or another finally realize that they are having a relationship with these beings. They don't just, they may spend 10 years in a basement shivering and cowering, or they may be angry and mad or, whatever it takes. But it truly is like the Kubler-Ross, what is it, the 7 stages of grief? It's kind of like anger, resentment, acceptance, blah, blah, blah. You get through all that, then you finally realize, well, shoot, I'm having a relationship with this. I mean, I'll never forget the day that Whitley Strieber was on air talking about how Ann Strieber was jealous of the alien he used to have sex with. And I got to thinking, my God, this is just like a real life drama playing out with their life. It's like some woman's come in between them and he's having an affair, and that's how she feels, and that's what happened. And that's the only way they were able to deal with it. But they were very honest and open about it, and that's what kept them together. But I mean, and that's just Whitley's story. But everybody that has been contacted since they were a child has some type of relationship with these beings, whether they've told them to leave them alone and they are, or whether they've embraced them and they communicate, or whether they're learning something from them, or whether they're learning something from the human. There's always some kind of relationship, and that's super important that people get to that point and understand it. Yeah. And we have power in the relationship.
Yeah, and what I tell people, which many people don't like to hear, but I'll repeat it on your show, is we play all roles.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
All right, so once we understand that, there is nothing that can come to you that will really scare you.
In other words, you can only get what you're ready for. In a weird way, like, what is it that saying? God gives you what you can handle.
No, it's completely true.
Yeah. So in this case, it's like our consciousness God is giving us all we can handle, especially for all of us awakened people on this planet. Oh my God, the stuff being thrown at us. It's like it's a constant. I feel like ever since I've awoken that it's just every day I'm on high alert. I don't know about you, but I have to really hockey's the only thing I can use as a descriptor of something that I just say, okay, I'm checking out, I'm unplugging all my consciousness tubes. My golden cord's going to shut down for a while. My force field's coming in. I'm going to go lay on the couch and I'm going to watch hockey and not think about anything. My brain is going silent. And that's what I do, Jason. But that's the only, 1.5 to 2 hours, a couple days a week, 2 hours, 4 hours a week. I get to shut it down because there's a constant barrage now of so much stuff going on. How's it for you? What do you do to relax?
One, I don't really pay too much attention of what's going on online.
Oh, that's good. See, that's smart. Why can't I do that? Well, I got a radio show. I kind of have to. Yeah.
I try to just focus on the projects at hand and try to get those done. And that takes up a lot of time. And when you are writing your book, you'll realize that you're only going to have time for doing that and eating, basically.
I know. Which Jason's going to help me with, folks. I'm saying it live here on air because, basically Jason's the one who's going to be the key to this if I ever get it done. So I'm just going to put it out there. Everybody pray for me and Jason getting my book done.
I will help you every step of the way. I know
you will. And that's it's kind of making me excited about we're getting it done. So here we go. So that'll happen. So anyhow, what do you do to disconnect, though? I mean, I know you've got to be able to disconnect somehow. You just take off with the wife and just go watch a movie, or how do you handle it?
Actually, Netflix. There's some advertising there.
I love Netflix. It's great. Yeah.
It's the only thing I have in this house.
I love Netflix. And I want to ask you something. Did you see the AO or whatever it was called?
The OA?
Yeah. Did you watch that?
Of course I watched that.
I thought that was extraordinary. I really did. It touched me in so many levels. I was really blown away about how profound and on so many levels that show was. Is it coming back for a second season? Do you know?
I believe it is. And Stranger Things is coming back in a couple days as well.
Oh my God, we should talk about Stranger Things. Do you have a minute to talk about that?
Well,
that
first I want to talk about the OA.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's talk about the OA. Okay.
They were doing postures.
I know. And I want to tell you something really quick that I've never told anybody, and I'm doing this for the first time on air. I wrote a short science fiction story about dance when I was getting a dance major. Mm-hmm. And in it, I wrote about these different postures that had symbolic spiritual powers that you could use in a colony, in another planet, in another system, in another time. And that's how you became a high priestess or priestess of time travel.
Well, let me just add another layer of weirdness to this.
Okay.
Is in the OA, the first set of postures that was given to them was the postures that healed.
That's right.
It was all about healing. And then the next set of postures was the one to transfer out of this dimension.
That's right. I know.
And what are my two books? The Salute to the Sun, which is the postures of healing, and the Salute to the Moon is leaving the earth field.
That's right. I know. Isn't that cool?
When I saw that, it was like, it just blew my mind that, there's others out there that know this. I'm not going to call them up and say, you stole my information.
Well, I think didn't she write that quite a long time ago, and then it took her a long time to get it to the point where it could actually be a TV show or a movie?
I have no idea, but I have been teaching this.
Her?
No, I haven't, but I've been teaching this publicly since 2007.
Oh, wow. Well,
it's been a while
she did pick up
since I've been doing this. But, I'm not saying it's, she probably doesn't know anything about me. That blew my mind that there's such a synchronicity.
Well, can I ask a really dumb question? Did you get all of this through your consciousness connection when you're out in the astral? You got all of this out there, right? I mean, it was all given to you out there. Well, maybe she was out there in the same space you were.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe so. Because what was in that show, there's very few people would know those things. That's why I was so shocked.
Yeah. When I saw that, I thought of you. I thought of my stuff from the past. I thought of all the things I've been through. And I thought, oh my God, this is just blowing my mind. I mean, I was just like, where did she, and then I realized the same thing we just said, she must have been out there, communing in that non-time space that you've been to, I've been to, Martin Sebastian's been to, that we've all hit at some point with our connection to the, I don't know, I get taken there by my downloads. I don't know how you get there. You go out of your body, don't you?
Yeah, well, especially for the postures, what would happen is I would go to sleep at night and I would just wake up in a temple.
Wow.
And I'd be standing in a room with these, he looks like a pharaoh, he just looks like a statue, just like the statues. And they would just be standing in a posture. They wouldn't be talking or moving or anything. They'd just be standing in a posture. And I would just stand in front of them and copy them. That's how I learned it.
Wow, that is really cool. Now, my guys give me like video pictures, but they never take me anywhere.
Oh no, this is like you're right there. Yeah, no, I don't get video pictures. Like that's why I tell people I'm not a psychic or anything. For me, I guess they need to really hit me over the head with it. So it's like,
well, maybe I weigh too much.
Maybe they just take me and drop me off somewhere. We're just gonna leave her in her
bed. she's too heavy to carry.
But again,
I don't know.
And this gets into the next topic in the next hour is that, what if I was that person in that life doing those postures? And all that's really happening is I'm just retrieving those memories.
Exactly. And what I think is going on is the fact that you're going into the no time space that the Kabbalah talks about, that the Bible talks about, that all of the religions from the beginning of man, even Satanism and everything else. It's that space where you connect with every other life you're living simultaneously.
Yes.
So it's just, I call it the no time space because there is no time there. It's just everything all at once. And what I'm starting to believe, and this is just my old age creeping in, I guess, I'm really starting to think that I'm having more and more connection with the no time space than I am with this space. I mean, it's just, every day I wake up and I'm kind of like stuck in that space when I get out of bed. I'm just like, oh, I'm in the no time space, and I'm connecting with all my selves, and I've got all these things going on, and it takes me a little while of meditating to get myself back into my body and here and doing, the mundane thing that this human's got to do in this lifetime. It's kind of disconcerting in a weird way.
It is, because when people, and this is how it happened to me, when I was very sick, it was almost like I had one foot out the door. So those worlds were very open to me.
Absolutely.
And the more that I healed myself, the less I had that connection.
Yep, that's true. That's when I spent 3 months in bed sick myself. I know exactly what you mean. And also the 2 weeks in the hospital, I don't remember any of it because I tried to sleep the whole time so I could stay out of my body and not feel what was going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think for certain people, I'm not saying this for you, so don't worry about it, but I'm saying there's certain people that have this opening within them. They've always had it. And as they go through the process of leaving this third dimensional plane, very slowly the multidimensional plane starts to open up to them so that it's a very clean transition. It's not like a shock of death.
Yeah.
It's that you're stepping from one world to another seamlessly.
Yeah.
Without fear.
I like that idea.
And that's the way that I believe the Buddhist monks and all these higher masters transition. They always use the word transition.
Yep.
And they know the point when they're leaving.
Yeah.
Because they have that opening and awareness of they can see how much they're living in that world and how much they're living in this world.
Absolutely. Well, God, that's so profound. I can't wait to talk about it more, but we got to take a break. And so we'll be back in a few minutes, folks. And we're Jason Quitt's with us, and it is thecrystalsun.com. Please go check it out, because I think in the second hour, we're also going to get to his Secret Space Program article that he wrote up on the Crystal Sun, and we'll talk about that too. We got lots more to come, so stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton, and we're here on Inception Radio Network, the home of the most amazing app on the planet. I hope you guys have it so you can listen to us anywhere you go, any time of day. You can eat a bologna sandwich and listen to me talk at the same time. Isn't that amazing? The world has come to an end, I got to say. And I want to thank Mike Vara over at Late Night in the Midlands for repeating my show over there. And I believe there's a couple more stations trying to pick me up here at IRN, and I haven't asked Joe yet, but I'm sure he'll share me with everybody. So I do hope you guys are listening to me wherever you're listening.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included, and you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver, and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
Listening to me at. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And visit LorienFenton.com. That's Lorien Fenton, just like it sounds, Lorien Fenton, FENTON.com. And probably visit around the first week of November, because I've got a brand new site coming up. I'm going to have some very special stuff there, and I'm not going to talk about it all tonight in the show, but we will do a little bit about my new website in one of the new upcoming shows. And also, what else is going on? Oh, yeah. get to a MUFON meeting near you. How many times do I have to say it? I sound like a broken record. I know I do. But you guys, the bottom line is, if you don't start talking to people other than listening to me and Jason and all my other guests here on the show, you've got to start talking to people. You got to look them dead in the eye when they're talking to you about this stuff. It is very important. There's an energetic connection that happens between all the people of like mind when they get together. It feeds your soul. I don't know how more specific I can be. It feeds your soul. It keeps you from getting the crazy human stuff that they're trying to do to you on many levels, because as we all know, there is good, there is evil. And you've got to renourish your soul by hanging out with people that have the love frequency and that are having contact. Maybe you're not having contact. Maybe they just seen a ship. Maybe they're very open and conscious. Maybe they channel beings. I don't know what they do, but you guys have all got to get together and talk to each other and have a good time. You don't even have to say anything. Just being all together in a room is like, it'll raise the vibration of you for a whole month. It'll raise theirs too. Everybody will be happy. Their work will be easier for them. Their love life will be easier for them. Because I got to tell you guys, there aren't very many people out there that are over 40-ish that have relationships where their spouses really care about these things with them. I know it sounds really weird, but I'm telling you the truth. I go to these conferences, I always go, oh, where's your wife? Where's your girlfriend? Where's this? Oh, well, they're not really into it. I just came alone. That's really sad, but you guys can help them feel a little more accepted, and it's easier to deal with the people at home if once a month you can go hang out with somebody who really actually believes you. It really makes a difference, I gotta say. So get to a MUFON meeting near you. All you have to do is go to MUFON.com. That's MUFON.com. Go to your state. You'll find it on there somewhere. You just got to travel around on the buttons. It's probably good for you to get lost in there for a day or two anyhow. So find the button that gets you to the chapters by state. Find your state, and then when you click on your state, your state directors will pop up. Their emails are there, their phone numbers are there in many cases, their addresses are there. There's all kinds of information on how to get a hold of them. Please call them and say, do you have a meeting? Where is it? What date? What time? Do you have a website I can visit? And if you don't have any of these things, what can I do to help you start a meeting in my area? And please offer to do it, you guys, because it's really not that much work. It's pretty darn simple, and it really helps a lot of people. So if you want to help out the community and you don't have the big bucks like Tom DeLonge, you can do it this way and you'll make a difference. I promise you. One of my favorite days of the month is when I'm sitting at the dinner table at Lumberjack's restaurant and everybody is sitting there talking to each other and laughing and sharing stories and talking about their cats. I don't know how we end up there, but we always end up talking about our cats, which are most of our children. And we just really, you guys, it's a connection that I can't describe unless you've actually made one yourself. And our ages run from in their 40s and younger, a little younger, all the way to 80 years old, and they're all communicating and all having a good time. So it brings us all together, because it's not about age, it's not about how much money you have, it's not about anything. It's about the love in your heart, the contact you're having, and how you affect people. That's really the bottom line, folks. So if you can do that, if you can start a meeting or get to the meetings, it'll make a big difference in your life and other people's lives as well. Okay, I'm done. That's it. That's the advertisements for today. Okay, Jason, where were we?
Okay, well, we were talking about the article that I put out on my observations of the secret space program, and
I'm there. I made it. Yay!
Yeah, and what prompted this was, people have been asking me about the secret space program for well over a year now, or more than a year. And, I've always been very sour when it comes to the secret space program because of my personal interaction with fake secret space program whistleblowers. And you know that story about me.
Yeah.
So, I was taken for a ride by someone who was completely not true. And that really impacted my life. It really hurt me. So because of that experience, I was always, I don't want to have anything to do with secret space program, anything. Right. And it's been serving me well, not being a part of that. And
And I just one quick note, the same person really hurt me too. I mean, really hurt me. I was devastated for quite a bit time after it all came out about him. It just really bothered me. But, anyhow, what do? We live and learn, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure he's not the only one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, now it really made me question everybody else, too. See, that's another problem. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. So you're sour, I'm sour, we're both sour. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I was just curious because, I keep hearing all these things, 20 and back, 20 and back. This is like common between these experiencers of the secret space program.
Right.
And Dr. Michael Salla put out an article just a couple days ago, October 23rd, with this new whistleblower. And his name is Michael Gerloff. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Yes, and by the way, I've met Michael. I know I've met him, at the MUFON Symposium. He and I had some chats together, and we're at a party together. So
Great.
I've met him. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to look into this. And I started to listen to him. And his experiences growing up mirrored identical to what I wrote about in my book, what I say in my presentations. Everything that I talk about is mirrored in his story.
Oh, you're kidding. See, I didn't know that.
No, he said when he was a child, he would go into like a sleep paralysis. There would be a shadow in his room. There would be a being by his bed who he described as like a hooded being with a dog face in his room. And he would explain these outer body experiences growing up. And, you know my story, and, people could watch the Contact in the Desert thing. What he says mirrors everything that I said growing up, which I'm like, okay, this person, either he's taken all this information that he's heard either from me or other sources, or he's had these experiences, which makes him an experiencer. I'm going to
jump in for him and say he is an experiencer, and yes, I think he's a contactee. Probably, just my opinion, I'm throwing it out there. Maybe there's more coming out with Michael Salla about him that I didn't talk to him about at the conference. But my whole take when I started talking to him about his experiences was that he's much more a contactee type of consciousness experiencer, and possibly a super soldier a little bit more than, just like your straight out, I'm a secret space program candidate and I fly, triangles kind of thing. Yeah. So, but go ahead. I'm just giving my opinion before you give yours, because I want to hear what the difference is between our assessment.
So I really liked him. I heard his story and I was like, this guy is a true experiencer, because he is saying things that I know about, and people don't talk like that.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm like, okay, this guy is real. So I start listening to his experiences, and they're mostly, multidimensional, extra-dimensional, psychic channeling type of things. And he gets to a part that I find the most interesting is when he joins, I think it's the Marines. And he was asked if he wants to join the Space Marines at a secret program. And he says yes. And he gets taken away and he starts signing all this paperwork. And when he's done signing the paperwork that he's going to be part of this space command, they take him in a car. And as he's driving with these military men in the car, he says he loses consciousness.
Yep.
He says that he feels himself losing consciousness, and then he feels a sucking or a pulling from his back where he goes into the seat behind him and out the back of the car.
Yep.
Then he says the next thing he knows is he wakes up in a medical bed with the same military men around him, as in no time has passed. And he feels very ashamed because he fell asleep in the car. And then they just send him back to the Marines. And he's like, well, you said I was joining this space thing, but now you just sent me right back. You know? So then as his life goes on, he gets these memories that come back to him.
Oh,
right? So,
cool. Okay.
So I'm watching this, and you know, I've been on your program. I don't even know how many times I've been on your program, but we've talked in depth about, you know, leaving your body, going to other dimensions, other worlds, other parallel worlds.
Exactly. Yep.
And then experiencing, and then coming back and having no memory of it, but then you start to have these bleed throughs of memory.
Yep.
And if you don't have that basis of doing this, like, this is my life. I've been doing this forever. You know, this is normal consciousness to me, is what these people are explaining.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
So,
I know exactly what you mean.
So these are true experiencers, but I don't think they're coming close, but I don't think they're really grasping what's actually occurring to them. Because, you know, they can say they've been away, you know, like Randy Kramer, he's been, you know, 17 years fighting on Mars.
Right, right.
But his physical body is on Earth, so how does that happen?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, it's just like Corey Good. He says the 20M back. They have technology to age regress them and wipe their memory.
See, now this is where I have a hard time. Yeah, I have a hard time with that whole. Yeah, I think, and this is just my opinion, you're probably going to say this right after I do, or maybe you don't agree with me. But I think what they're doing is they're taking their consciousness to another dimensional time space, and 20 years can go by in a fraction of a second here so easily. I don't know how they do it, but it can be done. And because the aliens do it all the time.
Yeah.
When you're with them, there's no time space. So
that's exactly what I wrote.
Oh, did you? I haven't read it yet.
Oh, thank you, Lorien, for not reading. No,
I didn't read it. I didn't read it on purpose because I wanted you to explain it on the show.
well, Lorien, we're on the exact same page.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because what I said is, and I laid it out very well, I think, is basically your consciousness could be taken out of one world and into another. Your consciousness can be placed into another body of you or a clone in a parallel existence.
Yep.
And the thing about consciousness is it's not bound by time and space, which means when your consciousness leaves your body, you know what happens to your body? You go to sleep.
Yep.
Your consciousness leaves your body, you go to sleep or pass out. So you're losing consciousness. Now, your consciousness goes to the place of no time. And from that place of no time, it can go to that dimension or parallel existence, have that experience. That experience could be 5 seconds. It could be 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes back to the place of no time and then back to your body and you wake up. And the most amazing thing about this is there's no break in time. There's no break here. There's no break. Yeah. That's correct. Exactly. So your consciousness could be out there doing what it has to do. But when you come back, you just wake up. There's no break in time, except for you sleeping.
Exactly.
But here's the thing that's very important, is that people that are experiencers, like this whistleblower that just came forward that we were talking about, Michael, I think his name is.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah.
When you're an experiencer, sometimes you get a lot of bleed through.
Yes.
Which means a normal person, it would just be like a dream. They lose it, it's gone.
Yep.
But the experiencer, for some reason, has a way of retaining some of the moments of those memories. So they can feel like they were on Mars fighting a war, which they were, absolutely. But their interpretation is they were there physically on a secret project.
Right.
When that's not the case. So I feel like there's this disconnect where people are saying, no, this is physical. This is Space Command. They took me, they gave me a pill, and suddenly I'm a child again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, does that mean that in the physical 3D reality, they can alter time and space? And you can't. You have to step out of time and space to do those things. And when you're an experiencer like myself, like you, like others, you know that most of these experiences happen once you start to lose consciousness or go to sleep.
It's always in the different, like theta, what are the 5 stages or 3 stages of sleep? I don't remember. Mine's always in the one right before awakening. I don't know what that is.
Alpha.
I'm always there.
Yes. And, that's what meditation is. Meditation puts you in the alpha state, which you'll have outer body experiences. Memories come back. Communication will open up because you're entering that no space.
Exactly.
These gifted people, what makes them gifted is that they could retain the no space in their waking life.
Yep.
That's it.
I absolutely agree with you.
That's the secret.
Yep.
All right. So in the article, what I laid out for everybody, and I'll just kind of go through this very fast, is there's a couple really important points that we have to understand before we even get into this information.
Okay.
And, the first point is we are all eternal multidimensional beings.
Yes.
That's the first thing. The second thing is we live in a multiverse, which encompasses parallel worlds, multiple dimensions, and in and out of time and space.
Mm-hmm.
And the third most important thing is time and space does not exist outside of this third dimensional reality. So if you can leave the third dimensional reality, you are not restricted by time or space. All right, so those are the 3 main points that we all have to understand, that is our true reality. And once we understand that, then we can start getting into the secret space program type of stuff.
Okay. So now that we understand, let's say everybody listening now is nodding their head going, yeah, I get that. So what about the secret space program, though, okay, let me rephrase that. I'm trying to go down 2 paths at the same time. Why are certain secret space program people remembering stuff? Why are others not? And I think you're going to have an answer for me for that. And the other question is, why are experiencers that are being taken up by aliens in a ship and being experimented on physically not remembering maybe that they were in a secret space program? Are they completely different things going on here? I mean, which I think there are, but, what's your opinion on that?
I think there's many different things going on, and I think that people are looking for answers. Like, why was I taken with this? And then they remember something in their, let's say they're a military person. Yeah. So let's say a military person gets taken on a ship and they remember certain things. Because of their life experiences, they can say, this is part of my military experience.
Gotcha.
When it may not have anything to do with a military experience, it has to do with their awakening process or their connection to their multidimensional selves.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Because, Rich Rogers, one of my first super soldiers that came out, he wrote a book called Interdimensional Warrior or Spiritual Warrior, and he's taken every night, and he wakes up every morning and remembers his training on another planet. I mean, he just totally remembers it. Now, here's the kicker on this one. You're going to love this. His son was the reason he came forward to me and wrote his book is because his son was starting to remember. He would have dreams where his son was starting to show up in them. And then he'd be sitting at the breakfast table with his son, and his son would ask him, why didn't you use a different weapon last night?
Isn't that amazing?
I know. And now here's the real kicker, and this is what blew my mind. I have another friend that is a total experiencer, and he's taken every night, almost every night too, and he remembers everything. And he's been going through this training program very similar to Rich Rogers' training program. And his son is now coming to the breakfast table and asking him questions about their sortie the night before. So it's now becoming clear to me that this is now a dimensional consciousness experiment going on with the extraterrestrials or whoever's doing it, that has progressed beyond taking families for egg and sperm and making hybrid children. I think now they're onto the consciousness phase. Just my opinion about that. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely could be. I'm going to give it a little twist.
Okay.
Though.
I'm ready. I love your twist.
Now, let's, for example, say that, we're being sold going to outer space.
Okay.
So that's our level of consciousness. We're being sold that we could have technology to leave this planet. Yeah. That's where we are in our evolution, basically.
Exactly. Like we're going to hit Mars in 2020 or whatever it is they think we're going to get there and, blah, blah. With NASA, right?
So what if the true hidden reality, which you're talking about, is that it's not about going to space, it's about going through dimensions of time and space. And you don't take a ship to get there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So you're asking why the experiencers doing this is because the experiencers are already open to the multidimensional experience. They're already having these experiences of parallel dimensions and worlds.
Right.
All right. So, for example, if a military faction, let's say the secret space program, sees a person of interest, which is like a person with required talents and abilities, they say, okay, this subject, this individual is a dimensional. I'll just give it a name, okay? So this person is a dimensional, which means that they're already open to the multidimensional experience. And now, here's the next thing that we have to understand. If they already know about dimensionals, it means they're already having contact with other worlds.
Absolutely.
Okay, and they're exchanging information, they're exchanging technologies between worlds. And when I say worlds, I'm talking about parallel timelines. Yeah. Now, if you think of parallel timelines, there can be a version of Earth that we could have contact with that is 2,000 years more advanced than us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. It's the same timeline, but they're 2,000 years ahead of us.
Yeah.
So if we're open to that type of communication, they may say, you know what, there's a war going on Mars, and we have all these clones out there fighting, but the clones aren't really good. They need human consciousness to fight these wars. They say, okay, we're going to get you some soldiers. They drug them or do something to these people, and suddenly their consciousness is transported out of their body to that other world, so that now they're part of the military faction on this timeline.
Ah, got it. Wow. Okay.
And then when their service is done at that parallel world, they come back like nothing has happened.
Yes.
It's I'm just saying that our minds haven't expanded in a way where we can see other realities to bring in more information. Because if this is the way the world really is, if the world is part of a parallel multi-universe, then you are living simultaneous experiences eternally.
Oh, absolutely.
And you've heard my experiences where I can jump and wake up in another body.
Oh, yeah, which I think is so cool. Could you tell us a little bit about one of those experiences so the audience gets an idea of what you're talking about? Because I know about it, but I'm not sure everybody even knows, they may not have listened to your first couple of interviews with me. So
sure.
Talk about one of those experiences, would you?
Sure. They all started with outer body experiences. So basically, I would leave my body at night. It's very similar to a near-death experience where you can see your body laying on the bed. You get pulled like a magnet. It feels like a magnetic pull, and a portal opens up, and you get sucked into the portal. And you'll fly through this portal, and let's say you come out into outer space and I see a planet ahead of me, I will go down into that planet into another being, and I'd wake up as that person.
Just like in the movie Avatar.
Yes, exactly. And there's various stages to that. I would say 95% of those experiences, it's like your consciousness latches on. So you're not in control. You're just an observer of that life or of that being.
Okay. I get that.
So it's like you're just walking around with someone else, but you're having that experience through somebody else. And then maybe 5% of that is where you enter the body and suddenly it's you. It's like your crazy Jason from Earth is now running around on another planet. That's very that doesn't happen too often, where you have full control. But basically, your spirit, your energy, your consciousness has its unique vibration. It's like every person has a unique song. And when that song enters into another world or dimension, it's instantly drawn like a magnet to the same frequency, which is you.
Yeah.
All right. So you can go to some other place in time or space. You may not be human, but it's still your song. So you may go and attach yourself to some alien looking thing, but it's still you.
Right.
It's still your essence.
Yeah.
So
just one quick question. Does this have anything to do with like soul groups? And the reason I ask is because I have this one vision when I was about 15 years old. And I was sitting there, I don't know what was going on, but I suddenly was taken into deep space. I think it was all dark. And basically I was part of a group of a consciousness pod that was floating through time and space to our next dimension, not next dimension, but next place of where we were going to become part of the world, the life force that was there. And so when you say that there's a resonance or a frequency and you go into it in that dimension, maybe I was just into that cloud at that moment with my pod and I could feel everything that the pod was feeling, but I was still single, but I was part of a group, kind of like the Borg.
Yeah.
But we had no bodies. We were just consciousness floating around in wherever. And it was very interesting. So is that the kind of thing you're talking about? Or is I end up wherever my consciousness lie?
Similar.
Okay.
Similar, because what you're describing is a group, like a soul group.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could be coming from the same essence.
Okay.
As in, those consciousnesses around you, those other beings would actually be part of your collective, like you said, like the Borg, but they're going to be, I almost said farmed out. They're going to be farmed out to other experiences, but because you're connected to them, it's almost like your family. So that, for example, a lot of people will have contact experience where a being will come to them and say, I am your family. I am part of you.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people. I'm always amazed when that happens. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's happened to me multiple times.
Yeah.
And there's a soul connection. There's a consciousness connection there that is, you feel it. It's like a homecoming. That's what it feels like. It's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
It's such an amazing experience. So your family, your soul group family, could come and visit you. Unfortunately, here on Earth, we're not taught about soul families. We're not taught about parallels. We're not taught about any of this stuff, multidimensional. So when the family comes here, you're like in shock and you're like, oh my God, an alien came and saw me, and I don't know whether to fear it or to love it, or if this is.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included, and you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
Part of some trick.
Exactly. Yeah. That's, and that's the thing that David Jacobs and I argue with him about it because, you can't just say that everything's horrible and it's there to eat or whatever they're, doing something evil to you. I think it's our misperception in many cases. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some bad, juju aliens out there, but I just think I think we need to be much more open-minded about the contact we're having. You wouldn't be having the contact if you weren't ready for it, right? I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, and for those of us that have had these experiences, it is scary.
Yeah, it is.
You do have a lot of fear, even if you think, oh yeah, like, I'm tough, I'm good, just bring the alien to me. Try feeling something walking in your room, and when you open your eyes, there's a how big is this?
8 foot tall.
A 3 foot wide mantis face an inch from yours.
Oh my God, that happened to you, didn't it?
Yeah. Try not to hit it with a pillow.
A pillow? How about the 45?
Well, I don't have that under my pillow.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, that would be so disconcerting. I wouldn't even, I'd just be a mess for quite some time.
Right. But then you realize, oh, it's just another self, like just checking up and saying what's up.
Exactly.
But you have to calm down first. It's not fun to wake up and be scared. It's not fun. And, I always tell a joke to people, it's only scary the first 500 times.
Well, yeah, I didn't even see this reptilian that hugged me from the back seat and told me he loved me. And I was sitting in the rest stop out of Las Vegas for 2.5 hours shaking. I couldn't even drive the car. And I didn't even see him. I just felt him and heard him. I couldn't imagine what I had done if I'd seen him. Oh, my God.
I think The Simpsons did it perfectly, where Mr. Burns walks out of the forest and he's an alien. And he says, I bring you love. And they go, quick, he's bringing love. Kill him.
Oh, my God, I never saw that. Oh, my God, that's funny. That's exactly what I said at the beginning of the show. That that maybe they're all about love and we're just too dumb to figure it out.
We just grab the pitchforks and the torches and run off.
Oh my God, that is so funny! I gotta rent that. Was The Simpsons?
Yeah, it's an early episode. I'll try to find it to you.
Kind of like the first South Park episode where Cartman gets the 30-foot dish antenna in the hither unknown rear end of his. Right. I thought that was just amazing to me. What was more amazing about the whole thing was the fact that was their first episode ever, and they brought in aliens. I thought that was just so profound.
Well, I think the most profound thing about that episode was that Earth was a reality show for aliens.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Like what's going to happen when we put a crocodile with a giraffe? Like that's great television, right? Exactly. I mean, it's amazing to me that we are, we could be the entertainment value for the universe. I don't know, but oh my God, it's just so amazing to me where aliens play such a huge part of our consciousness. Here nowadays. I mean, doesn't that blow you away? Ever since the E.T. film, Phone Home E.T. and all that came out, and Independence Day, and Star Wars, and the whole bit. Ever since those films all came out, it's become aliens are just part of our culture now. Well, it's so crazy. Can I say something a little mind blowing?
Yeah. Well, of course you can.
Okay. Our reality is co-created. We have to literally see our dreams, see our future in front of us, and we will get there.
Right. That's true.
So, we could have episodes on TV of, craft flying in the sky before there was planes, and they would say that's impossible. But then we did it. We can see, Star Trek, and I would say Star Trek, not Star Wars. We can see Star Trek, which is a very highly advanced, I would say, protocol of the universe. Go out there and assist, basically non-intervention, and we can see that. And because we see it as becoming part of our consciousness, it's almost pulling us into the future. Like, we are going to get there because we've already created it, and we're going to get there.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
So just to have all the aliens, and all the people coming forward, it's almost like it's going to get to a mass consciousness where that is just going to be our reality.
Interesting. And so, 100 years from now, everybody will wake up and they'll just check in with their relatives, happen to be, a reptilian, whatever, by telepathic communication instead of a cell phone.
Well, who needs a cell phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. It'll just be like I wake up and I'll go, I wonder how my cousin over on, the whatever planet or other dimension, and they'll start mapping the dimensions, and I'll just give him a call in my head and say, hey, how you doing? Is everything okay over there? Do you need me for anything? And he'll go, no, we're good. We're fine. Thanks. Bye. And that'll be it. So I don't have to travel there in my dreams. Maybe we'll get to the point where we're conscious of our traveling or our other dimensional space being time when we sleep, because obviously the government must have this down to a science, or they would be sending people into the secret space program that way, right?
I remember reading a book by Robert Monroe.
Oh, I love that book. I know which one you're talking about.
And he's talking about going 1,000 years in the future. Yep. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And basically he's saying that, he's on some type of ship in the atmosphere or outside the atmosphere. And basically they're not physical. Yeah. They've evolved to a point where they're not physical, but this planet is like the Eden, and it has so much life forms on this planet that you can say, I really want to experience what it's like to be a shark in the ocean.
Exactly.
And then their consciousness would go and be the shark to have that experience, and they'd be beamed. When they have the experience and they leave, they go back and they go, okay, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. So they're choosing what they want to experience. So they're not bound by the physicality of bodies. Right, exactly. Yep. And I think that is probably the most beautiful evolution I can think of. God, because they're saying that I think what he was saying is that the Earth was destroyed, but after they've evolved to a point where they could completely heal the planet and bring the species back, and now they enjoy it and they experience everything. Jeez. I mean, isn't that incredible?
I love that. In The Once and Future King by T.S. White, or T.H. White, I can't remember his whole name, but he wrote about training King Arthur. Merlin was training King Arthur to be, whatever it is he turns out to be. I want to say a benevolent king, but, but who knows what he did, Anyhow, bottom line to all this is, in the book, he says to him, I want you to experience being the fish. And I'll never forget that part. It was many other animals too, but he would talk him into becoming the fish and being in the water and experience what the fish does and feels. And he did this with many different types of animals. And the whole reason he had him do this was so that he could see different views of what was going on around him, whether it be warfare or romance or friends or other people's just their presence, that he could get into them so empathically that he could understand what they're feeling in the moment, so he can make good decisions as king. And I just thought to myself, now, if we all could do that, if we could all become that empathic that we could feel the other person's, physicality or feel their emotions or have their thoughts in our head, we wouldn't be as mean as we are. Because and it goes back to the whole alien thing of if we could all read each other's minds, we never kill each other, right?
Yes. And we have these two futures now where it's like you have one group that wants to get to what you're saying using technology.
Exactly.
And then you have one group that says, no, we just want to raise our vibrations and meditate and do this naturally. So you have these two divisions that are happening right now in our society.
Isn't that interesting?
But that is the next step. The next step is to feel and expand your awareness to the others. And then I think even beyond that, so let's go even way beyond this.
Okay.
You get to experience your parallels.
You know what? I'm already doing that.
Right. So as in...
It's not that much fun right now, I got to tell you, but go ahead. Yeah.
As in...
go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's just think for a second that your consciousness has now played millions of experiences through time and space.
Exactly.
And now you have a reservoir of experiences so that if you are in situations, you can just go right there. You can be that soldier. You can be that spaceman. You could be that fish.
Or a great chef, or or fly a helicopter, just like in the Matrix. I mean, and that's very interesting. You're saying that because I was just thinking about that yesterday morning when I was waking up, because I have a tendency to get into all my realities, and like I said, I have to sort them all out and get back to this one when I wake up in the morning. And people ask me all the time, they go, there's no way you've done all you've done in the 60 years you've been around. And I said, yes, there is, because I know how to be many different people at the same time. And no one gets that when I say it, but you, I bet. Because they go, how can you be on the computer and do what you do on the computer? How can you run conferences? How can you work a job as a bookkeeper? How can you do this? How could you have a professional dance company? How could you be a dancer? How can you do all this? Nobody does all that. How can you be a potter? How can you do this? I go, because I just tap into whatever it is that I do on my other timelines, and I just do it. It's really no big deal. So when the Matrix came out and they were downloading stuff to what's her name to like fly the helicopter in like 1 second flat, I was sitting there laughing because I thought to myself, well, shoot, I'm already doing that, but on a much slower basis. And we may be able to get to the point where we can do that just like every day, right? I mean, it should just become common occurrence within the next 50 years, I would hope.
It's a very nice idea. And many people are already experiencing these types of downloads. And it mostly comes when you're in danger.
Well, that's true. Now that I think about it, you're right.
So it's like, let's say you're in a life-threatening situation. Suddenly, you know how to get out of it. You would never know that information without, for some reason, this thing came to you.
Yeah, it's
true.
And
it's because we do have higher aspects of ourselves that are making sure we do what we have to do while we're here. So if something's going to happen to us that's not supposed to happen to us, there will be an intervention from these higher beings to save us. And the
higher being is yourself, basically.
The higher being, right. The higher being is yourself, and it's not going against your free will because it is you. Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's not like, some guiding hand is coming in and saying, nope, sorry. You're not, you have much more to do. I'm going to pull you off the bridge, Yeah. When
you experience all these other lives yourself, do you find that it's easier to do things that, like, let's say you wake up one day and you go, shoot, I really need to go work on the car, and maybe you don't want to, but, do you ever just feel like, well, maybe I can figure this out for myself, and you go out there and you kind of do something and you've made an accomplishment that you didn't think you could do? Do you you say to yourself, well, it's just because I've got a higher IQ and I know what I can figure things out? Or do you say, oh, maybe it's because I've done this in another life, or I'm doing it in another life right now in a parallel universe,
I don't think of it that way. I've just always had the personality where it's like, why? It's like, just go do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, some people say, like, well, how did you do this? How did you make that video? Or how did you make that music? Or how did you, put this book together? I said, I just had to do it.
I just did it. That's my response to everybody too, is I just did it.
You just have to learn how to do it yourself. Like, why are you pulling all these people and pieces to help you, guide you along the way? It's like, if you got to get it done, just get it done and learn how to do it, because now you're acquiring this skill.
Exactly. Now, why is that so hard for most people to grasp on this planet? I've yet to figure that out. But I do believe, with my whole heart, Jason, that all of us who have been touched by the having this awareness, this consciousness aspect to ourselves, we can do anything. We are a very bright group of people. You go to the conferences, and the brain power in a room of experiencers or consciousness people or scientists that have been touched by consciousness, or anybody who has that ability or has had that connection, they are really smart cookies. I mean, really, I'm always very impressed at how brilliant some of these people are. And it's 90% of them. I'm not kidding, folks. It's a very smart group of people. At International UFO Congress last year, I was sitting around looking around the room, and I was just thinking, oh my God, everybody I know in this room must have at least a 135 IQ, if not bigger, genius level, So it's just amazing to me. Do you believe that? Do you believe that contactees and consciousness blessed people are a little smarter than the average bear? Or am I just imagining this?
I would just put it in different terms. I would say that you have the person that is just focused on what is in front of them, the task at hand. This is what life is. This is all I know.
Okay.
So it holds them in, let's say, it holds them in a box. And then you have someone that's been held in a box, and suddenly they're touched by consciousness, and suddenly they can see outside those confines. It makes them a very different thinker. Mm-hmm. It makes them perceive things at a very different way. So you can have very different conversations with experiencers and researchers that have been touched by consciousness, because the conversation is not held with boundaries.
Absolutely.
I find with these experiencers, I can just say anything. I can throw out a crazy concept and they're on it.
Oh, absolutely. And they'll help you research it too.
Yeah. Whereas if you're talking to someone on the bus, who's focused on their life, they'll just raise their eyebrow at you and go back to what they're doing.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's so amazing to me. And, I got to bless all the people out there that were not afraid, have not been afraid, and they talk to other people about this stuff, because, the hardest thing to do is to come out and be open about what's happened to you on any level. Because somebody's going to judge you. That's the biggest fear of this. Somebody that hasn't had the consciousness experience is always ready and poised to judge you. And for you to come out the way you have, and our buddy John D'Souza, who used to work for the FBI, I mean, my point to saying this is this. Some very amazing people are coming out now and talking about their experiences that, like Paul Hellyer. I mean, people like that. I mean, just some really amazing government types or healers like yourself or John, who's ex-FBI. I mean, it's like they're coming out of the woodwork now from so many walks of life that are they're revered walks of life, you know? And I'm just so happy this is happening. Do you think there's a reason why this is happening right now within the last 18 months to 2 years? I mean, it just seems like since 2015, there's just been an exponential amount of people being brave. Do you think they got a little dose of bravery or from somewhere, or do you think they just all decided, well, you know what, I'm just going to talk?
You know, it's like a floodgate. It's like once they start hearing people like myself and all these other people talking, it gives them more confidence. I get emails every single day. I'm not joking. Every single day I get emails from people saying to me, what you said, I experienced. I'm not crazy now.
Yeah. Doesn't that make you feel good? I mean, I really do feel great when that happens. You know, that people come to my MUFON meeting and they're willing to cry in front of me. You know, I mean, they're literally that relieved that somebody cares enough about them to hear their story. You know?
I mean, I still get plenty of "you're going to hell," but
well, see, now that's another whole subject that I wish, you know, someday I want to write something about, and I'm sure you have. But what about organized religion? Why can't we just get this to go away? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I'm a very spiritual person. I say this all the time, but I've had my biggest problems in the community because I'm not a Christian, or I'm not a practicing Catholic, or I'm not a Buddhist, or I'm not whatever. And I don't understand why people have to push their religion on everybody else. Let's
break it down. Let's just break it down, okay? First of all, we all need maps to live in this world. Mm-hmm. So let's just call it maps. So some very smart people get together and they say, you know, this is the guidelines that assisted us in being better humans, to farming. You know, most of the ancient religions had to do with stars. Yeah, you know, when to harvest, when to plant. That's basically what started these religious things, is the stars.
Most of the pagan religions were based on agriculture.
The religions now, the Judeo-Christian religions, they still celebrate those holidays on the same days because it's part of that knowledge that came from so far away. So basically, it's a set of beliefs on what is supposed to make us better people and to get us further in our evolution. The problem being is a belief becomes control, where you can't expand outside of that belief. Oh, you can't do that because this is going to happen to you, or don't step out of line. So you're getting the guidelines, and it becomes a religion where now you're stuck in the guidelines. Right. And that's kind of what's been happening for the past couple thousand years, is that we've been stuck in the guidelines. And, you know, if you were to leave those guidelines a couple hundred years ago, you'd probably be burnt at the stake. So it wasn't a really good idea to leave those guidelines. Exactly. But in today's society, you know, because of the internet, because of people are being more open, they're realizing it's safe now to step outside those guidelines, and you're not going to hell. You're not, you know, you may be pissing off your family because there's another thing. There's the tradition, the family tradition being passed down, which takes on its own religion, basically. So you have the family traditions, and then you have the belief on top of that, or the religion on top of that. So you're not only breaking away from a religion or a belief, you're also breaking away from family traditions. So it's very difficult to step out of those guidelines.
It is. And as a culture, this whole UFO movement and the people in it, or the consciousness movement, or whatever you want to call it, even the conspiracy part of it, you know, the dark side, we are breaking all those maps. We're crunching them up and throwing them in the trash and saying, this is just not the way it is, folks. And we're really harping about it. I think we're making some headway because 99% of what we do is good, you know, and I think it's important for people to open up to the fact that we aren't the only creatures, in the multidimensional sphere. Angels aren't the only thing there with God. There's other things too, yourself included. And I think we're starting to make an impact, but I still think it's going to be 200 years before we really, it better not be 200. Maybe if we're lucky, it'll be 50 years of another generation or two of children that aren't necessarily brought up within religious constraints. And let's just hope that it starts getting to the point where they understand that consciousness is really the key. Just like my aliens or angels said to me, love is the key, and time travel is the answer, though. I don't know why they told me that, but consciousness is definitely a major player in this. And so what are we going to do? Are we going to start a new religion, the consciousness religion?
No. We throw out all maps. There is no maps.
Okay, so then we get to have our infighting between the whole UFO community. So we're back where we started the show with. Yes, we have to be guided. Everybody wants to be the leader now, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to be the leader.
I don't get it. Who wants to be the leader in this? It doesn't make any sense. Know. That's the worst position you can put yourself in.
I know. I just sit there and I'm always amazed at that. I just go, why would you want to do that? I could barely handle doing my job as part of it anyhow. So, just awakening people is a big job in itself. So anyhow, you have been an amazing guest as usual. You are so right on and so together. And I just so appreciate you, Jason. Thank you for coming on tonight. And, you kind of knock me around a little bit and make me think of things a little more empathically, which is good for me because sometimes I get a little myopic and I get a little focused on, but I'm Italian, so there is that forgiveness. We have to give my Italian the forgiveness.
Family tradition, right?
It is. It's my culture to sit and rant and rave and then go, "Oops, that wasn't right." I should have not said that, but it's just been really wonderful having you. You are amazing. So everybody go to The Crystal Sun and check out all of Jason's stuff. And he's got some new crystals and some new things, you guys. Go check them out. They're really cool. I've been looking at them.
I just got my 2000s hit on the Secret Space Program page in one day. So that's good.
That's wonderful. Good for you. Do you have a lot of followers on like YouTube and places like that? Do you do all that stuff, or?
Mostly on Facebook and Twitter. You can just look me up at Jason Quitt on Facebook and Twitter, and all my books.
Guys,
yes, it's 2 T's.
Quitt. Okay,
that's
Jason
right.
Quitt. Okay, don't forget.
I quit. Right. I quit life hard and needed the extra T.
You got it. Okay, darling, thanks a lot. And everybody, I'm not sure who my guest is next week because I don't have the calendar in front of me, but it'll be somebody interesting, I'm sure. So have a great week. We'll see you next time on the California MUFON Radio Show. Have a good one. Good night, everybody. Good night, IRN.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included, and you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver, and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service price is subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.